Y'all killing me with this.
Because I started noticing that he's just really not funny. Like, nothing about his comedy is funny. He's supposed to have a comedy podcast. It's not funny. And nothing makes this more apparent than the more recent news with Steve-O. You know, the tit job. The infamous tit job. The one that never happened, actually. So, last week's episode, we talked a little bit about the fact that Steve-O was supposed to get a pair of double D knockers. A pair of floppy old tits. Not fake ones, not prosthetic ones, real actual tit implants. Is he transitioning? No. You might think that he is, but he isn't. He's doing this as a gag. It's all just a joke. This is one big joke that he wants to do. I'll let him explain what exactly that joke is going to be in these time codes that we're going to get into. I'm telling you. Some very rich stuff, this podcast that he just did with Bert Kreischer. Bert was supposed to be the first person that he had on after he got the tits. Yes, Bert Kreischer and those tits. Picture Bert Kreischer slapping those things around, you know? Motorboating them. Like the movie Wedding Crashers. He's like, you motorboating son of a bitch. Steve-O's like, yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. You know, I can't picture that. I don't want to picture it. But it's like a car crash. If it were to happen, you'd have to watch. You'd have to watch, right? So there was a Trump assassination attempt in the past week, and somehow it got thwarted by the news of Steve-O getting these tits, which once again, I'll remind you, he did not get. But I want to get into some of these time codes so that we can have a look-see and a hear-see for ourselves.
Sure, man.
I'm so fucking bummed that you don't have tits right now.
Okay, so I sent you a text. I said, "Hey, dude, Bert." Cause I looked at your schedule.
Yeah.
I said, "Can I record with you on July 12th? It'll be the day after my breast implant surgery, and I want you to be the first person I talk to after I get my tits." And you were like, "Oh, crying emojis. That's great. That's so funny. Yes, I would be honored."
So right there, Bert is over the moon about the fact that Steve-O would even call him and say, hey, I want you to be the first person to come on the show once these knockers come into play. And I thought the reason why this is just fucking so cringy to me is because I picture Bert back at his house. He's overdramatic, right? It's typical Bert. Sitting on his couch, drunk as fuck. He gets this text from Steve-O. Immediately starts crying, breaking down into fucking tears. And he's crying to his wife, Leanne, Steve-O wants me to do the honors. This is, I guarantee you that's exactly how it happened, right? Now, this whole thing is kind of weird from the rip because he wants to basically do like a kind of gotcha punked kind of thing. Once again, I'll let him get into detail into it. He'll get into detail later. But he basically that's the gist of it. He wants to do like a gotcha punk kind of deal where he's walking around in some sort of costume, but those tits are out. They're flopping, you know? Everybody's staring at him. So then he wants to do some sort of like sketchy type of situation, more than likely involving him being a girl and the other person in that situation being a straight male. And then he wants to rip all the makeup off. Gotcha. I got you, bro. That's kind of what he wants to get going here, right? I think that's a little strange because that's the kind of behavior reserved for like perverts. These are the type of people that you see walking around the park in like a fucking trench coat, right? And they do the whole, hey, check this out. You know what I mean? They do that whole thing to try to get a rise out of you, and that's where the pleasure comes in, right? And I kind of feel like that might be what's happening here. And the doctors don't want to do it. The anesthesiologist ends up pulling out. Watch, listen to this.
I canceled the 2 Bears for this. I told Tom, I was like, Steve-O's getting tits. I'm done.
Right.
He was like, "Are you fucking serious?" I was like,
Okay.
"Yeah, pull it out. Let's go."
Now, let's be clear here, dude. In no way did I back out of this.
No, you did not.
There is literally a hyperbaric chamber set up in our house in Burbank.
So you could recover.
That's crazy right there. So this guy has set up a hyperbaric time chamber. That's how bad he wants to do this. That's how bad he wants to flaunt these tits off to people. You know what I mean? That he set up a hyperbaric fucking chamber in his house so that he could heal faster, so that he could get out into the street. So
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
So that everybody's kind of like, yo, where'd you get them tits, boy? That's the reaction that he wants to get out of people. I can imagine being somebody close to him, right? And hearing that that's his next big idea. Usually this guy, he wants to like jam a nail through his ball sack or something like that. You know, very extreme stuff, but not as jarring as this. For some reason, this is very jarring. It wouldn't be jarring if he was a man transitioning. It's jarring because he's a man who wants to pull a stunt with some fake tits when he could just easily use prosthetic tits to get the same effect. I mean, let's be real here. So listen to this. Imagine his family, right? Now the professionals are like, we can't go through with this, buddy. I'm sorry.
Apparently, it will speed up the recovery process ×2. There's been a nurse scheduled to come give me IVs for 5 days in a row, like a 2-hour process. Like the surgery's paid for, like all the way through the whole thing. And then like at the very 11th hour, the night before the surgery, the anesthesiologist backs out because there's all these stories on the internet about it.
Really?
Of course, dude. Why would this guy not back out? Like, why would he not back out? Let's think about this. Let's take a look at this face that you're about to make. And I imagine this is probably the same face that he made when he actually pitched this idea to the anesthesiologist.
11th hour.
Right there. Look at that. This is the same guy who wants to do this. Imagine you come into work one day, right? You come into work and Steve-O walks into your office looking like this, right? And the first thing that he says out of his mouth is, "Yeah, man, I want to get a pair of fake tits. Double D's, as a matter of fact. We're doing it for a stunt on one of my shows, man. It's going to be fucking on." Come on, we're checking out, dude. Get you. You know what I would do if I was that doctor? I would call. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll set you up an appointment right now. Hold on, let me go get the person at the front desk, right?" And then I would 5150 this motherfucker. I would call the police, and I would say, "Dude, we got Steve-O down here. He is spouting off some off the wall bullshit, even for him. Clearly not right mind and body. So let's get this guy checked into an asylum so that you guys can like open that dome up of his and squirrel around in there with one of those fucking like ice cream scoopers or whatever and see if you can make sense of the behavior that's happening here. This is absolutely crazy, right?" Now, this is what makes it even crazier. This is what makes it even crazier. Somehow it actually gets crazier. It's his mindset that he has about this whole thing. Like, it's one thing to want to go through with this, right? And be like, it's for a gag. I don't care about what the outcome is. I don't care who gets offended. You know, play that card. If that's the way you want to do this. Be like, I'm doing it no matter what. I don't care who's upset. I don't care who's angry. I don't care who's mad. You know, that's the card you want to play with this. You want to go all in. You don't want to ride the fence on something like this. This is where people are going to start to pick you apart, right? But that's what he does. This guy actually wants to sit there and try to frame this as if he's doing something for the trans community. He wants to make it seem like he's advocating for body autonomy by going through with this whole joke. And to hear him actually say this, I legitimately, I had to like stop what I was doing paused this. I was like, what is happening here, right? Listen to this shit.
Today she's a girl.
Yeah.
Yesterday I met her. She said, hey, I want you to know I really, really respect and admire your recovery. I'm a person in recovery, and I also loved the way that you that you stood up to Bill Maher. And I just thought, okay. Like that.
All right, hold up. Let me give you some context there real fast. So this is him telling Bert a story about how he ran into an actual member of the trans community. Someone who was a former male who is now a woman going through the transitional process. And at first he kind of frames it, I'm saying that a lot, but that's what he's doing. He wants to frame it to the viewer as something that it actually isn't, right? There's either a perversion in this, or he legitimately just wants to have a gag at the expense of the trans community. But to try to frame it as being like, I'm talking to this person in the trans community, I'm an advocate for body autonomy, I'm on your side, my friend. To frame it like that is wrong. And that's what he's trying to do. So he's talking to somebody who just transitioned, this nice young woman. And he's telling Bert this story. And what he's about to tell Bert is how, in that moment, I felt so good because I could have been saying all this stuff about this gag that I'm about to do, and I could be asking her for her approval and all this stuff, but I'm not saying any of that stuff right now. I'm keeping my mouth shut like a good little boy. I'm keeping my mouth shut. But in the same breath, in the same story, he goes around and says, but then I ended up having to get her approval anyway. You know, I wanted to hear what she had to say about it. So he starts bragging about not bringing it up to this person. And then immediately is like, and then I brought it up to this person. So I can see what their thoughts on it is, right? But he does it in like a very seeking approval type of way. You shouldn't be having to do that if you want to make a joke about this person's culture, right? So let's hear him continuously spout this bullshit off.
I said, thank you. You know, that means a lot. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, wow, like I'm not really rushing to blurt anything out right now. You know, like how do I feel about that? When my position has been all along that I believe what I'm doing, while I'm motivated to be wild and crazy and get laughs and entertain people, that it's also really genuinely a statement of body autonomy, and that I see that as like not me trying to be disrespectful to anybody, but in fact me being squarely on the side. And
listen to this, the dog shit. To honestly say that, to try to honestly say that is asinine, right? That, let's be real here. Those are not the thoughts that Steve-O had, right? When he came up with this idea. When he had this idea, he sat there with his team. He said, hey guys, I think I got this crazy idea that's not only going to break the internet, but it's going to make us a shit ton of money. Hear me out. And then he spits off this bullshit, right? But now that it's kind of like getting picked up by actual news sources, people are talking about it online, his anesthesiologist is backing out of the fucking job. Now that this stuff is starting to happen, he wants to try to play it off as like, no, I'm on their side, and I always had it to be like I was on their side, right? That's not the case. And anyone who believes that's the case is fucking dumb. Okay? You're fucking dumb. If you actually believe the bullshit that's coming out of this guy's mouth, you're fucking dumb. Now listen to him as he now goes into saying, remember, he just got done saying, I didn't say anything to that person. I'm so with the body autonomy and the advocacy and shit like that, right? Listen to him now in the same breath say, no, but then I went right to this person and I tried to seek their approval.
And I had this like real profound effect speaking with this person yesterday. And I thought today, on the way over to Bert's house, why don't I go to that same spot and see if I find that same person? And I did. I went to that same spot. I found that same person, and I say, hey, I was really affected yesterday when I met you, and they, oh wow, I said,
See that? You see what's happening here? This is exactly what I was talking about. See how when he's telling a story, he can't fucking help himself. See how he's telling Bert, when I went and talked to this person, I said, hey, I was really affected by the way our conversation went yesterday, right? He didn't say anything like what he should have said was, I was concerned that what I may have said might have maybe offended you or something like that, you know? So now I wanted to come back to talk to you to make sure that I can smooth this over because it was eating away at me. Okay? There's a way to actually be sincere about this. But instead, he wants to go back to this person who, once again, he's trying to seek approval from. And instead of, you know, trying to make it like more comfortable for that person, he wants to try to twist it so that their response justifies his fucking joke. This is not the way this shit's supposed to go, right? He went so far out of his way. He felt so guilty about that. He went so far out of his way to stop by the same spot this person may have been at the very next day. This is stalking. He stalked this trans woman just to seek her approval because he felt guilty about the joke that he's about to go through with, right? And he really thinks, he seriously thinks that he's like starting a movement with this. Like, he seriously, listen to this.
Clear that my intention's not to hurt anybody's feelings or be disrespectful on any level. But now, coming away from that conversation, part of me felt like I knew that I was, making a statement of body autonomy and with my heart in the right place. But I almost feel like it's actually important to do this.
Am I tripping here? Am I the only one that might think this guy is actually fucking losing it? Like, listen to this shit. He's legitimately saying here that he feels like he needed to do this. Like, he was sent down. Like, this idea was sent down to him from the heavens to do one thing. To make him the martyr for the trans community, the celebrity martyr that the world has needed. He's going to crawl so that all these trans people can run. That's how he feels about this. That's insane. Like, I don't even think Caitlyn Jenner said the shit that this guy is saying. And she actually chopped her dick off, buddy. Like, that is fucking madness. That is madness. He honestly thinks that he's like gonna change the world with this stunt. And by God, if he does, I swear to fucking God, man. If this guy ends up actually fucking changing the world off of this shit, we're cooked as a human race. I'm sorry. Like, if that shit actually happens, which it's not going to, but if something like that actually happens, you can fucking kiss the future goodbye, my friend. I'm telling you that shit right now. Now, here's the thing. I know it's kind of crazy. I haven't really brought up Bert that much, because Bert, he's usually interrupting. He wants the whole thing to be about him. But I got a story that's really even better than your story. That's how Bert does the whole thing, right? Bert's going to try to interject himself into this bullshit, right? So now Steve-O's like, I'm making a movement. I'm doing my thing. Blah, blah, blah. And Bert's like, no, we're making a movement. Watch. They actually, the both of them now think that they're both making a movement. Watch. Listen to how delusional Bert Kreischer is.
If nothing ever happens to this, maybe there's a kid living in Iowa. I'm sorry that I used Iowa, but living in Iowa, and he's having questions about his own transition or his own autonomy with his own body, and he hears this and he goes, well, I like Bert and Steve-O, and they seem to be pretty cool about it. They made some jokes, but they seem to be like supportive of anyone's decision in their life, and maybe you help that kid, or maybe you help 20 kids, I always look at everything like that.
He looks at everything like that. Look at this. This guy, he honestly thinks that he's a part of this shit. Like, he's not even the one getting you're just here to like suck on him after he got them, bro. Like, you're here to slap him around, make a couple jokes. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be the cushion. Like, after the surgery happens and Steve-O gets completely picked apart online, which we know is going to happen, you're supposed to be here to make him feel better. To be like, no, Steve-O, I would totally suck him. I'd titty fuck. I do it on camera. We can titty fuck him right now. We can do it on camera. Whatever you want, Steve-O. You're supposed to be like the guy for that. You're not some fucking, you know, guy who's making a movement. This isn't the Beatles, man. And look, Steve-O doesn't even give a fuck. Bert's sitting here trying to like interject himself into the whole thing, and Steve-O's checking his goddamn messages on his fucking Apple Watch. He doesn't give two shits about what Bert's saying right now. And to think some kid in like Iowa or some shit is gonna be like, man, I was really on the fence about transitioning, but now I see Bert and Steve-O are not transitioning at all, and now I want to transition because they're cool. They like tits. They like fake tits on guys, so I should get a fake tits on me. I'm a guy, you know, whatever. That's the it's the most delusional shit I've ever fucking heard. At least top three delusional things, right? They really think they're making like a movement here. It's like crazy. And I'm telling you, I really think that Steve-O wants to trick people. I think he legitimately wants to trick people into like making out with him or something like that. You know what I mean? He wants to find somebody with just as big a teeth as him so that they can fucking do like a teeth trap and fucking kiss each other and get their teeth all fucking locked and intertwined. And now they're stuck together forever. Yes, they're stuck together.
Yes.
Forever. And I'm sure he'll find it. Because he wants to say that he's going to get these tits out right away. He's not going to get these tits out right away. I'm telling you. I honestly think that he wants to trick people, though. I really do.
There's
I know exactly what you're talking about.
there's the sensitivity in the transgender community that what they're trying to do is trick people into, and like to put people in situations where you trick them into being gay, and
It's called the movie The Crying Game.
I didn't think of it like that.
yeah, and
Think of how many. I know that I'm a comedian, but I also have a father and I'm of a sensitive heart. But think of all the trans females who are just looking for love and just connect with a dude, and they shoot their shot and they kiss, and the dude starts moving faster and things happen, and all of a sudden he finds out, Crocodile Dundee style, this isn't what I thought it was, and then get fucking stomped.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, dude. Like, to think that that's not an actual reality, like anybody who's going through with this transition and considering it and stuff like that, more power to you. But you have to be honest with people. That's like 101. You got to be honest with people. No matter you want to be an actual woman, you have to be honest. Women are you know, they're modeled out to be honest people. You know, we all know they're not, but they're modeled out to be honest people. You got to tell people. And now they're bringing this up. And I feel like it's so ironic that they're bringing this up because that's the whole thing. Steve-O, this is the whole reason he's getting these tits is so he can trick people into these joke scenarios. And to make it worse, he wants to involve hidden cameras. So, like, they're talking about this topic, right? And they're trying to like make it seem like they have some sort of conscience about it. But they're talking, you know, shit about the one thing that Steve-O's actually trying to do. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And to try to disguise it all as being like, we're for the people, we're advocates for this body autonomy, and then they just turn around and say like, but how funny would it be if like one of your bros ended up hooking up with like a trans person? We'd all trash him, we'd all make fun of that person so bad, wouldn't we? Now listen to this shit. Watch.
I don't know, dude. Like that's like in my view, it's undeniably funny.
Oh,
Well, yeah, it's still
bro,
it's still
bro.
really funny.
It's. I mean, I hate to say this is, and back to the.
Hold up. Look at this fucking jamoke, bro. Look at this fucking jamoke. Holy shit, bro. What the fuck is this? This one is waiting for Steve-O to get those fucking tits. Look at him, fucking pudgy man. Pudgy man. So fucking big, this one. Holy shit. And ironically wearing a Dodgers hat. Because this, I'm telling you, this motherfucker ain't dodging shit. You could hit him with a fucking pea in the middle of a football field at any time of day. Day, night, fucking whatever. You're hitting him. Guaranteed your money back. This guy. The easiest no scope you've ever fucking seen, this one. And look at the fucking hair on his shoulders. Holy shit, brother. You could fucking take a lawnmower to that shit. It'd still take you a week. It'd still take you a goddamn week. And somehow he bagged a porn star. I forget what episode they were talking. He ends up dating some porn star. Disgusting. Disgusting. Let's listen to the boys talk more shit about how funny it would be if one of their friends hooked up with a trans person.
The comedian side, but like the bro factor, if your boy hooks up with a transgender chick and he doesn't know, if you walk in the room and tell your boys, there's a big laugh to be had, like, oh, shut the fuck up. So that is an authentically, I mean, it's the you thought the thing, taking the mask off of anything is like a ta-da moment. And so, yeah, I mean, I understand that would be the comedy in this, is that, yeah, and I can understand that the comedy in this for us is the exact opposite for them.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Bert. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yes, Bert, we got him. Look, you finally said something that was worth saying, Bert. I can't believe I'm actually hearing this. You know what I mean? But you're saying it a little too late. You already said all the other shit that is complete opposite of that. You know what I mean? Everyone's so cool with this quote-unquote gag. But they're in the same breath, they're so willing to acknowledge how fucked up it is that they're doing it. Like, this is a joke at a completely marginalized group of society's expense. You know what I mean? There's just no other way I could say it. That's just the way it is. And I'm all for a trans joke. You make some jokes about Caitlyn Jenner, I'll be on my back, fucking, clenching my stomach. It's so funny. But these are jokes. This is not a joke. This is a masked perversion. That's what I feel, at least. I feel like this is a masked perversion. And Steve-O really likes people watching him, and I listening to this whole the whole podcast. You know what I mean? We're about halfway through this thing if you're going off the time codes. At first, I was like, okay, maybe it is a joke, right? But what got me onto thinking that like maybe he actually likes people like watching him and getting all that attention. Like, he's gonna love it when he has the cleavage and shit and guys are just like staring at him. You know, all his friends, Chris Pontius, Novak, they're all gonna be titty fucking those goddamn things. You already know the shit. He's gonna love that. He's gonna love that kind of attention. And what got me thinking about it was this next thing that he says. He talks about this other prank that he did where he's walking around the beach, the biatch. He's walking around the biatch, pissing on people with a fake dick. So, like, you already, right there, you're throwing indecent exposure. It's a beach. There's probably kids around. You know what I mean? People are trying to grill dogs and burgers. It's the American way. You know what I mean? They're at the beach. No one wants to get an eye full of cock. And he's pretending to piss on people to get a rise out of them. These are not that, like, FouseyTube doesn't even do these kinds of pranks. You know what I mean? And FouseyTube, he's doing some crazy shit. That guy will fucking, he'll get you thinking. God damn! So let's listen to this fucking guy talk about this oh so grandiose prank of his.
I went and bought this thing. It's called a Whizzinator. And I went to the beach with it filled with water. And I just went up to dudes who were laying out sunbathing and pulled out this. And like, we filmed it, like me just squirting water out of this Whizzinator. So they feel it. They look up, and there I am, like, blatantly with a dick in my hand, like peeing on them. And they're like, oh my God, Steve-O? And they're so stoked.
See? He loves it. He loves it. Look how happy he is. He's like, they're so stoked, dude. They're so stoked. And look at the dick on his fucking eyebrow. Jesus Christ. What the fuck? You remember that last week? We were talking about that? We were talking about the fact that he had gotten this dick tattooed over his eyebrow to, like, resemble the gangster teardrops on the side right next to your eye. But the teardrops on his face are fucking cum shots, goddamn. What the fuck? This guy is spiraling out of control, man. Like, I give it 5 years tops. 5 years tops. This guy is relapsing his ass off. Watch this.
But we kept doing it until, like,
Until one wasn't.
Until somebody wasn't.
I want to hear. I want to meet that guy.
Ooh,
He's like a Marine.
It was a very, like, the guy said, okay. He said, okay, take off your glasses.
Oh,
you know,
no.
like,
Oh, I hate real talk. I hate real talk. Oh, I hate real talk.
Look, see? So now this guy that Steve-O pissed on, because you heard what he said. Everybody that he pissed on was so happy that it was him. Imagine being at the beach and seeing someone get pissed on, like 15 feet away from you. And then they turn around and go, Steve-O? You would look at that guy like he's a complete fucking cuck. You wouldn't look at that guy like he had any self-respect. You know? You'd be looking at him in disgust. I know I would. I'd be looking at that guy like, disgusting. Disgusting. Look at this guy. Because it could be Steve-O. It could be, I don't know who else is crazy. Right? Michael, like, it's anyone famous. Picture the person that you would like most to see famous, right? That person does that to me, I'm cutting his dick off. I'm cutting her tits off. If it's a girl, I'm cutting those off too. I don't give a shit. Nobody wants to see that shit at the beach. And think about it, there's got to be kids around there somewhere. It's a fucking beach. You trying to tell me there's not a kid within fucking 15 feet in any direction? There's kids all over the goddamn. It could be 12 a.m. and you could be in the most remote fucking beach on the other side of the goddamn world. It took you 14 hours to get there on foot, and you still see a kid at the goddamn beach. Somehow they're always there. They're always there. So to be doing a prank like this, you know what I mean? We could call the cops. Somebody call the cops.
FBI, open up!
That, you know what I mean? Somebody get the police involved. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. And listen to what else he has to say about this awesome prank.
Oh, God.
What does that mean? Like,
He's going to beat you up. He doesn't want to break your glass.
There's a universal rule that you don't punch a man who's wearing glasses.
Because it's a
First
felony.
thing he says.
It is?
It's a felony if you punch somebody with glasses on.
First thing he says is, take off your glasses. I'm like, oh. And then he says, take off your shirt. And then he says, turn around. He goes, oh, I almost killed you. He goes, I'm a Marine. You know, like, he was like a big buff.
Sometimes that's the funniest person.
It's not the funniest person to do it to, okay? Like, just listening to that part alone, it made me realize this is not for the jokes. This is for the sick kicks that this guy is going to get out of this, you know? I'm telling you right now, there's nothing about this. Nothing about this is a joke. Guaranteed, he's probably going to start an OnlyFans. Picture a Steve-O OnlyFans. Picture how many people would sign up for that shit. A bunch of motherfuckers. If I had to put my money on it, I'd say a lot of people would sign up for that. And they'll all disguise it. They'll all say, we just had to see him, you know? You got to see him. It's Steve-O's tits. You got to see the tits. It's Steve-O's tits. How could you not see him? I closed my eyes, buddy. I'd close that. This is not the joke that I want to see. This is not the comedy that I'm a huge fan of. I don't know about anybody else out there, but this is not the comedy that I want to see. I'm not for it. Okay. Now listen to this. I thought this was fucking funny.
And hold my fart like a bong rip.